Oscar, the Golden Boy de la Hoya, reveals today why they are changing the time for Terence Bud Crawford versus Saul Canelo Alvarez fight. Now, there is something weird about this, and they are not changing the date, just the time. As we all know, traditionally, boxing, the main event in Las Vegas, starts around 7 or 8 at night, sometimes even 9. Oscar de la Hoya laid down the facts on the table. He stated that they are trying to make the fight in the middle of the day, and that is definitely not the weird part, as we have seen big boxing events in the past start at weird times. I mean, Friday and Sunday is not as weird, but maybe a Wednesday fight will be kind of weird if it's a big fight. But the weird part is they're moving the time to accommodate the UFC and Dana White, and it gets even weirder. They're not even in the same network. So even if the UFC fight and the Canelo versus Terence Crawford fight took place at the same time, they will now overlap each other. Even if the main event started exactly at the same time, they will both be broadcasted by different networks. So I'm pretty sure most people do not pay for the pay-per-views. So say you had 2 Fire Sticks, you can watch both fights exactly at the same time if you have the setup for it, 2 TVs. So that is weird that they're gonna move the Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez time to a different time, because if they keep it at the same time, it could definitely work. And I always thought boxing fans and UFC fans were always separate. They were not the same fans. I know there are some that like the UFC and boxing, but I've never met too many. And also, it should work if they fight at the same time, because boxing does this all the time. They all compete with each other. Top Rank, Matchroom, the PBC, and Golden Boy. They always throw fights around the same time, and they are all successful. And sometimes both companies throw very important fights, and you're switching from channel to channel to see how the fighters are doing. So boxing has always worked. I don't see how the UFC coming to fight around the same time, Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. I don't see how that would change anything if they both fight at the same time. The only thing I could think of is Turkey Al-Sheikh is very selfish, and he is throwing money at both events, and he wants to be part of both events. That is the only thing I could think of. That way both events do not overlap for him and the Saudis. But if it's not that, I really do believe there's something funny going on behind the scenes of Riyadh season, because of the cryptic message that Oscar de la Hoya stated. He says that he's been talking to Top Rank and Al Heyman a lot lately to make fights together, and that they are not going nowhere. And I believe this is happening because I think it's a little iffy that the UFC is trying to promote the Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez fight. What does Dana White and the UFC know about throwing boxing events? They know how to throw UFC events, not boxing events. Now, Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford is a big fight, as big as it gets. That's like Oscar de la Hoya or Al Heyman going to the UFC and promoting the biggest fight they can get. I think there is some funny business going on, because why would they trust Dana White to promote the boxing fight? And I believe they're trying to make another boxing entity called TKO, and that's supposed to be another company that's gonna help Dana White promote the Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez fight. And I do know Dana White, TKO do not have any boxing talent, right? But I really do think they're trying to recruit the biggest stars in boxing. And I know they're not trying to pay these boxers right, and they're trying to put a very low pay scale, similar to how they pay the UFC fighters, but it's a little bit more, but not nearly enough. So I believe if they take all the stars from every single boxing entity, Top Rank, Golden Boy, PBC, and I think they already got Matchroom. And yes, I believe those buys will be expensive. And I believe every single boxer contract expires at some point. So I believe when the contract expires, they're gonna try to buy the boxer that has a big name, because what happens if they take all the big names from every single boxing entity and they put them under one umbrella, which is Riyadh season? What will Top Rank, PBC, Matchroom, and Golden Boy have left? Even if they all try to work with each other, they will have no more big names to make big fights. But that's only if they are playing it that way. To tell you the truth, I always thought that was Turkey Al-Sheikh's plan, because Riyadh season got money to burn. So I believe it's gonna be very expensive for Riyadh season in the beginning. So as soon as they got all the big stars from every single boxing entity, I believe that's when the pay grid starts from the UFC style pay. I'm pretty sure Canelo and Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, they will still get their pay, but the people that try to challenge them that are prospects are gonna get the UFC style pay. And if they want to become a boxers, they're gonna have to live with that because all the other boxing entities do not have any more talent left. Because it takes a lot of years to make a boxing star, and it's gonna take some time to turn a prospect into another Ryan Garcia or Devin Haney or Shakur Stevenson or Tank Davis. But remember this, guys, I ain't the biggest, I'm the baddest. And if you wanna hop by your boy, throw a dollar at the super thanks. I gotta roll. Peace.